Welcome back to the Oddity Shop, our little oddballs, the podcast where we tell you strange, odd, weird, bizarre stories from around the globe. I am your curator, Zach, sitting here with the other lovely, wonderful, chapped-lipped Curator Kara. Sorry, I had to draw that out. She was putting on her chapstick still.
They are a little bit chapped. You can tell fall's coming.
I'm usually not one who wants to let go of summer by any means. I am so ready for fall.
The crisp air felt really good yesterday and today.
I will say I did before we recorded tonight. I sat out on the back porch. I didn't have to put the umbrella up or anything. It's just that like coolness in the air.
Do you know what I did?
It's not 90 fucking degrees anymore in Michigan.
Well, do you know what the thing about our summer is? And that we're ready for it to be over, because you and I never want summer to be over. It has been too miserably hot that we actually haven't even been able to enjoy most of it. That's what it is.
This is not our typical summer.
On my lunch, I went out to my car as I usually do, and I literally just rolled the windows down, and it was so nice and breezy, and I fell asleep for like 45 minutes. And it was like a nice, crisp air nap. It was beautiful.
Nothing beats a little lunch nap.
I take one almost every day.
I used to, but now I have filled my lunch break. But every once in a while, I still take.
Well, I'm not home though. Like if I was home, I wouldn't, because I would fill it with stuff too. But what am I going to do? Yeah, no. If I was just like at work, I would definitely try to nap through it. Yeah.
Well, like at work, I'm at work, but I'm not like physically. Okay, you know what I mean. All right. What's new with you?
So what?
What's new with you?
Oh, I don't know. That's it. Crisp air.
Well, I know something new.
Okay.
I hear you're going to get possessed because Kara has given in to the gosh darn Labubu craze.
You do know that is the dumbest thing ever. People saying it's demonic is literally an egregore. I
love the fact that there's I imagine it's the Christian moms that I went to school with. Not that I went to school with the moms, but like the mom. I went to a Christian school.
Yeah.
I imagine it's them. Oh my God, these little things are demonic. Ugh. I still don't understand them.
There's nothing to understand. They're just cute.
They're not that cute though.
They are. Did you like Where the Wild Things Are?
Yeah.
They literally kind of look like the monsters from that book.
But I know you didn't spend this much on them, but the fact that people are putting like $100 into these things that just hang off your stupid fucking purse, it's like, no.
So to be fair, yes, if you're trying to get a certain one, but the big plushies, yeah, those are just $100. The little keychains are normally just $20, but you can't get them.
Not for the real ones.
Yes, they are.
Oh, I guess, though, I'm
through
like, because you can't get them. It's
Correct.
The people who are doing the resale.
Correct.
And shit.
They're like $27.99, but I can never get in to buy one. I knew this one was fake. The guy lied to me too. He's like, they're real. I'm like, no, it's not. No. And I should have took out my PopMart app and scanned the QR code in front of him to be like, bro, I know this is fake, but I'm going to buy it for $20 anyway, but I didn't. The most tragic part about my Lafufu is that the whole fucking head spins, which does make it demonic.
Yours is more demonic than most, I will say.
And its feet spin.
Was it Sarah who commented and was like, you got like a rough Lafufu
oh, she's
or
like,
something.
That's a rough Lafufu.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know. But I couldn't even get fake ones. So when I saw him, I said, okay, let me get you.
I love it. I love
the people that, hello, I did this on purpose, but on our story, all I put was the clip, like, I got scammed, and like me, like looking at it. And so people were like, oh my God. And I'm like, I love how you guys think that I really fucking didn't know I got scammed.
It just proves that they did not watch the video. Also, did you see that you got your first TikTok stitch today?
No.
Oh, yeah. So it you know how like people can cut some of your video and like put their story?
Yeah.
The one you made of like, do you know that you've walked past a killer? And now that people are sharing their stories when they realize they walked past killers. So you just got your first one.
See, when you open the notifications, I don't ever go back.
It was only like 15 minutes ago.
Oh, really? No.
Yeah, I didn't tell you purposely until we were recording. I was very proud of you.
Oh my
Kara's
God.
been putting all the work into making our TikTok
Do we
amazing.
know the person that did it?
Yes, it is Weird Web Radio on TikTok.
Oh,
and he had a great story about serving murderers when he was a bartender.
Okay. That's so fun. No, I'll have to go and look at it. That's exciting.
You definitely do.
Oh my God.
What else was new?
That's it.
I feel like I haven't done much of anything since we got back from Kentucky.
Me either.
I'm just still recovering from Greek Fest where I ate way too much food. That's it. All right. Do you have a question for me? It's time to open this darn shop up.
So my question is, since we're in the future, do you know what today is?
I do for once. It is September 18th, and I'm not confused on what day this episode comes out.
Okay, but do you know what today is?
September 18th.
Which is?
Oh God, I feel like I'm about to get razzed for not knowing what it is. What is it?
No, I mean, I wouldn't really care. It's Aaron's 40th birthday.
What? He's officially old.
I think.
Should we move it now? Is 40 the new or 50 the new?
I think it is, to be honest.
Yeah, he's got plenty more. He's officially young. He's entering his 20s period of his adult era.
Yeah. Well, you just.
I always said like in my 20s were my toddler adult era. So now he's past teen. He's a young adult. All right, go on.
A young adult.
That's the question.
That was your question. Not
all right. Well, happy birthday, Aaron.
Happy 40th. You loser.
To Kara's actual husband, because every time we go out for any sort of event, people just assume I'm your husband. So there is a real husband. His name is Aaron. I'm just the fun husband. The paranormal fun husband.
Whatever. Okay. So you and I had kind of a deep conversation recently, okay? And we were kind of discussing how actively there are, I guess, supposedly people trying to build non-Black communities or towns. And which at first you were kind of like, that shouldn't be allowed. And then I was kind of like, yeah, but then we don't want to be around those people anyway. So let them be secluded by themselves. And then it was kind of like, we kind of went back and forth where it was like, either way, this option is fucking miserable and wrong. And I will say that we usually use our platform for an escape for us and for our listeners. And I will just set in the alarm bells right now, or warning bells. This is a heavy episode, so I understand if you leave. But I think you should stay.
Oh, I'm excited. I feel like we're going to get up on some soapboxes.
I know what you mean.
I'm excited that we're going to move away from our usual entertainment and maybe voice some rage.
So tonight, whenever you're listening, we are talking about Sundown Towns.
Oof.
So you've probably heard the phrase Sundown Town before, or maybe you haven't. Either way, I really need you to hear this. So again, if you have to drop out, I understand, but I really urge you to stay. And maybe we can learn something. Maybe we can change people's minds. I don't know. I doubt it, but who knows? We could try.
Hey, if we get one, man.
Okay. So these were places where if you were Black or sometimes another minority, you couldn't be there after dark. And I don't mean just shouldn't be there. You could not be there. And the consequences weren't just fines. We're talking harassment, violence, and even sometimes death.
Insane.
The part that's going to stick with you, I would hope the most, is that this isn't just something in ancient history. And in some cases, the signs came down, but the attitudes never really left these towns, which is kind of how you and I got on this topic.
Well, yeah, because you can change a rule or law or whatever, but that doesn't immediately fix people's mindsets, no matter how absolutely wrong they are.
Yes. So what is a sundown town if we're not really familiar? A sundown town is exactly what it sounds like. Like I said, there are towns where people of color, most often Black people, were banned after sunset. Sometimes there were actual signs at the city limits, and other times it was just a very unspoken rule that everybody in the area knew, which I don't know which one is worse to me. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't matter.
Can they just be equally bad?
Yeah, it is. So police would enforce it, neighbors would enforce it, and the message was clear: you're not welcome here after dark. And I want to be super clear, this wasn't just a Southern thing, because I feel like a lot of people just might assume that. But we're talking about towns in Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, California, Oregon, and the list just goes on. And sundown towns happen just basically all over the United States. So this isn't just like a segregated area or the South, like I said.
Yeah, no, it's happening everywhere.
Yeah. And so a little bit of history about it. They started popping up heavily after the Reconstruction in the late 1800s. So when Black Americans were starting to gain some political power and build communities, white residents, politicians, and business owners in certain areas wanted to keep their towns white only, and they went to extreme lengths to make it happen, right? They'd put into city ordinances, or they would just make it so dangerous that no one would even dare be caught around after dark. So imagine traveling in like the 1920s and seeing a sign at the edge of town that says, "Don't let the sun set on you here." That isn't just a warning.
That's just so ominous. Yeah, no, it's an obvious threat. Oh, I'm going to get angry. Okay.
I cried at Starbucks while doing research on this. And I tried to keep it as to the point as I could without it being too hard. Because I also don't want to make us all like depressed after this, but there's really not a way.
I'll think of something light to end us on. It's fine.
So can I be honest?
Yes.
I was going to put something at the end to end us like on a lighter note, but then I was like, if we change our mindset to just forget about it, then what's the point of talking about it?
We're going to let people ponder. All right. I know. I see where you're coming from. Yeah. No. All right. Buckle up, everyone.
So how it kind of worked is enforcement wasn't always about it like in an official law. It could be police pulling you over for nothing, neighbors chasing you out, or a mob showing up at your door. It was about fear, and it worked because people avoided those towns, even if they were just passing through. Travelers would sometimes stop at a gas station miles away and be warned, hey, don't go into that town after dark. Just like, think about how terrifying it would be to know that your safety depended on you getting out of somewhere before sunset.
And that's where I get to check my privilege, right? Where I haven't had to think about that.
Well, think about you and I just like the last couple times we've just gone on our little road trips and stuff. Sometimes we don't
even have to think about it.
Yeah, we don't have to, and we just wouldn't. Like, it didn't matter what time we popped into somewhere.
Right.
We're not really thinking about that. Like, yeah, obviously late night anywhere, it can be dangerous, but that's
you keep your guard up, but you're not like...
Yeah.
It's our privilege for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so this is kind of like what I was saying. I really want people to understand that sundown towns didn't just disappear. Some of them still carry that reputation today. And the signs, like I said, may be gone, but that culture and the police practices, the housing discrimination in some places, that has never stopped. So modern versions can look like racial profiling, pulling people over for driving while Black, or making it impossible for people of color to buy or rent homes in certain neighborhoods. Like, it's the same idea, just without the sign on the highway. Like, it didn't change.
No, it's just
because that's not
in your
legal face. Or, I don't know, frowned upon. Like, it's just...
Hey, Kara, have you ever wanted to take your spiritual practice to the next level?
Oh, absolutely. And if you're looking for something that feels truly magical and not mass produced, you have to check out My Mystical Forest.
My Mystical Forest is like stepping into your own enchanted sanctuary. They offer handmade spiritual tools crafted with care, intention, and so much heart.
We're talking tarot card holders that make your readings feel elevated, pendulum boards that bring clarity, and spirit boards to deepen your connection.
And don't forget the incense burners to set the perfect vibe, plus crystal trays to arrange and organize all your favorite stones. Everything is a labor of love made from hand-selected hardwoods.
Whether you're a seasoned spiritual practitioner or just starting your journey, My Mystical Forest has the tools to empower and inspire.
Unlock the magic for yourself and seek harmony. Visit mymysticalforest.etsy.com. That's M-I Mystical Forest, and find the heirloom quality pieces that speak to your soul.
Also, for our little oddballs, for limited time, enter code ODDBALL at checkout to receive 10% off plus a free pendulum, or simply use the link down in the show notes.
Goodbye. I think the distinction is it's not legal anymore, but the mindset is still there.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally just like racism.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh my God. All right, so... have you heard of, and I'm sure maybe you have because of like the profession that you're in, but have you heard of redlining?
That was on the test to even get into the profession I'm in. Yes, I have.
Okay. So for those of you that don't know, redlining started in the 1930s. Federal agencies like the Homeowners Loan Corporation created color-coded maps of cities. So neighborhoods were graded from A, green equals best, to D, red equals hazardous, and areas with Black residents, immigrants, and or just like that were too close to non-white neighborhoods were almost always marked red. So banks and lenders then refused to give loans or mortgages in those redlined areas, which I don't know if you have any more like knowledge.
Yeah, so it would even be down into the covenants, which for people who don't know, covenants are what's like on the title that runs with the land about which colors and cultures could even buy in there. And the sad and disturbing thing is there's plenty of states right now working to strike that language. So it's been deemed illegal and unenforceable. But because these things run with the land, the language is still there. And the scary part about that is, much like some of the rights we've seen rolled back for women's reproductive rights, or, Obergefell going back to the Supreme Court, all it takes is an overturning of the laws that are in place that currently protect that for those covenants to go right back into effect.
Right. And so thank you for that input, or that knowledge.
Sorry, my real estate is showing.
Your real estate. Yes, it is. But no, I knew you would have some insight. So basically, the effect of redlining was that Black families were locked out of buying homes in desirable areas, obviously including sundown towns and white suburbs. And they were forced, and then this forced them into limited segregated neighborhoods, which then became overcrowded, underfunded, and without access to mortgages, Black families couldn't build intergenerational wealth through homeownership like white families did. So sundown towns explicitly kept Black families out of thousands of communities across the U.S., not just in the South, but in the Midwest, West, North. And this meant that Black people moved north and west during the Great Migration, so like 1910, 1970, and they had very few places to settle. And then whole regions were closed off, funneling people into certain neighborhoods. And basically, this is how, quote unquote, ghettos emerged, because so many towns were closed. Black families often had no choice but to overcrowd into specific cities. It's so ridiculous. And these neighborhoods were faced with redlining and urban renewal projects and destroyed housings. And as a result, Black communities became concentrated in underfunded areas that we now call ghettos.
And to top that off, I'm sorry.
No, keep going.
If you're going to cover anything, then we over-police those areas and put them in further disadvantage with a criminal record. So now you couldn't buy houses, you couldn't create generational wealth, and
I didn't even get into that part, so I'm glad you bring it up.
And I'll do it really quickly because there's so much you could talk about on that, but about the over-policing of minority communities. But for years and years, you've set them at a disadvantage. And now, so many racist people are like, oh, they don't want to work, or they do. It is so frustrating to ignore the extreme disadvantage that groups have been placed in through literally no fault of their own, but the color of the skin they were born into.
No choice.
First soapbox, let's go.
Right. So basically, sundown towns didn't directly create ghettos, but they forced segregation by exclusion. And instead of separating out across cities and suburbs, Black populations were, again, funneled into a handful of neighborhoods that concentrated, combined with racist housing and lending policies, cemented the boundaries of urban ghettos. So it's not directly, but it played a big effect into still now. So talking about this stuff isn't just about shaming a single town. It's about recognizing how deeply racism was built into the structure of our communities and how it's still showing up.
It's systemic.
Yeah, if we don't face history, it's a way that we're just easily pretend it's over. It's just, I'm getting flustered because I'm getting mad. So here's the thing. If you've never been on the receiving end of that kind of fear, it's tempting to think, well, that was part of the past, or that doesn't happen here, but it does. And if it doesn't where you are, it's happening somewhere else. Mm-hmm. And that's why we need to kind of keep talking about it. So in the show notes, when we have all of our links, I'll have it linked so you can do some research of your own. But just to give you an example, and I'm going to go through this so fast because it's long. But just to give you an example, according to the historical database of sundown towns, these are sundown towns of Michigan. Not necessarily right now, but how many were in Michigan?
Okay.
Let me take a drink real quick. Are you ready?
Yes.
Elginak, Allen Park, Alpena, Bad Axe, Bessemer, Big Star Lake, Birmingham, Brighton, Brown City, Cadillac, Caro, Charlotte, Climax, Coopersville, Dearborn Heights, East Grand Rapids, East Lansing, Fenton, Flushing, Fraser, Fremont, Galesburg, General, Grosse Pointe Farms, Grosse Pointe Park, Grosse Pointe Shores, Grosse Pointe Woods, Harbor Beach.
None of that shocking.
Harbor Beach, Hartford, Holland, Howell, Hudson, Ironwood. Is it Ipshaming? Whatever. Kalamazoo, Lathrop Village, Lexington, Linden, Livonia, Manistee, Marine City, Marlette, Marquette, Marshall, Marysville, Manson, Menominee County, Munising, New Baltimore, Antonagon, whatever.
Antonagon, yeah.
Thank you. Picking
You've actually done really well with all the UP names.
Portland, Reese, Richmond, Rockford, Rockwood, Royal Oak, Seaboing, South Lyon, Southgate, Spring Lake, St. Clair Shores, Sterling Heights, Taylor, Traverse City, Trenton, Troy, Upper Peninsula, Utica, Vicksburg, Warren, Westland, White Pigeon, Wixom, Wyandotte. Woo! And that's just Michigan.
Okay, now you did great, but before they come for us, Charlotte.
What did I say?
Charlotte.
Oh, I was just going so quick.
No, you did good on the rest of them, though. I'm pretty impressed.
All right. So anyway, I'll have it linked and you can look wherever you like it. You can pick your state and it'll tell you all. And then it also give you a link with like stars and it'll say these necessarily weren't sundown towns, but they were also problematic for different reasons. And then you can read up on that.
The thing is, too, for people who aren't from Michigan, is that there is not a single region of our state that you didn't mention in that. You had the entire Upper Peninsula, North Michigan, you had Southeast, Southwest Michigan, Central Michigan. I mean, that there's not a... I guess it's not geographically enclosed to one area. That is the entire state.
That's even more alarming.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we are going to move to my favorite place, even though this is the place that made me cry in Starbucks when I was doing this, Reddit. R/road trip is a subreddit where you can literally ask questions and stuff about road trips. And this was posted 4 months ago. And it was by Gurella Black Dog. And the caption or the question on the subreddit was, does anyone else worry about sundown towns when on a road trip, or am I just overthinking things? And the subcategory was trip planning. So has anyone ever experienced anything to do with the sundown towns when on a road trip? I remember as a kid, sometime around the early to mid 2000s, one time my family and I were on a road trip and we went into a diner. It got kind of quiet and many heads turned and it just felt weird. Only until I was older did I realize what happened and where we were. So that is the question and then the basically story of this Redditor.
Okay. Gotcha.
This is one of the comments on that thread and it's from Tangboy5million and it was also 4 months ago. We were on a work assignment in West Virginia. Our crew went into a bar and grill for lunch. We had a black dude on our crew, and when we walked in, there might as well have been a record scratch. Every head turned and stared at us. It made everyone pretty uncomfortable. The black guy, I'm going to start crying again. The black guy said he was just going to eat his lunch in the truck. This is where I broke down in Starbucks. And a couple of the other guys went with him. Notice our Redditor here, writer, doesn't say he went with him.
Yeah.
A local came up and started peppering us with questions, but in a friendly and curious manner. The conversation ended with him telling us that we should probably be gone by nightfall if we knew what was good for us. And a bunch of the other folks in the place nodded in agreement. We just kind of stared at each other in disbelief, and this shit was still going on in this day and age.
Again, checking my privilege, because when I learned about sundown towns, it was something that was disgusting. In history. And disgusting, but it was in history.
Yeah. You don't think about it right now.
No, you don't think. Yeah, and like, granted, you think that there's still segregated places but you don't think it's this overt.
Well, I think you and I think, yeah, there's racist people,
right? But
we don't think it's necessarily, or we do now, but we didn't think it was necessarily to this. But like, this just made me just like melt and just cry because I'm like, my ass would have been like, first off, we're not ordering food from this fucking place.
No, not when you have just straight up macro
Second
aggression.
of all, him just saying, I'm just going to go eat lunch in the truck. Obviously, this happens to him often.
Yeah, it's not the first time.
And for your dumbass to not be like, yeah, I'm going to fucking come with you. I'm glad that some of those other people went with him. Ass fuck.
Absolutely.
Okay, so this is also another comment on the same thread from Grounded Satellite, again, 4 months ago. My mom lives in West Virginia, so I go there occasionally. I'm white, but I'm trans. I used to take the shortest route to get to her place, which involved going through some small towns on a non-interstate highway. That was until I stopped at a small gas station down in a holler to fill up and got some very hard stares and saw a lot of whispering between the other people filling up on the gas station hanging out. I got the fuck out as fast as I could, and I now take the long way that keeps me on the interstate and only stop at larger gas station truck stops going through there. So that didn't have anything to do with anybody that was Black, but it's still the same concept. Is that
it's just that you're not welcome here, which is insane because we're all human beings.
Yeah, it's so disturbing and fucking weird. Again, same subreddit. A comment off of here, which is from Sugar Sweet Sunny 4 months ago. Long ago, we had to stop for gas. Creepy station, went inside, and the guy in there seemed startled and terrified. Kept looking around at us. He kept saying he was closing to rush us. Not that it mattered. There was like only a handful of things inside to buy. He also told us it would be better if we not stop by on the way back if we came that way. The fear he had and the way he acted was just some scary movie shit. We got the fuck out of there as soon as we got our gas. While we were getting our gas, he actually waited outside watching us and looking in every direction.
You almost have to question the is he trying to help them? Warn them?
But that actually makes me feel like he's scared that he's serving these people, like that he's letting them buy stuff from his store and getting gas.
So less about
there.
protecting them, more about looking out for himself.
To me, when reading that, like I'm thinking of like the movie version of it, like him freaked out and like looking around, like I don't know, just the way it's written to me. That's how I take it. Either way, okay, let's say he was a person that's like, you guys really need to protect yourself and get out of here. If I'm that person that's saying that, I wouldn't fucking live anywhere that I have to tell somebody they need to get out of here to protect themselves. I wouldn't be living there.
No way.
So either way, I don't really care about that guy. I hope he gets what he deserves. All right. So this is from the subreddit R Truckers, which is what it sounds like. People, some truckers. This is a wild one.
I might have more industry knowledge for you.
Oh, yeah. So this is when I pulled this 8 days ago.
Oh my god!
And this his user, her user is Redditor Alcoholizado. Alcoholizado.
All right.
The question is, have you experienced a sundown town? And then Redline M5 posted in that as a comment 7 days ago. Made a delivery in Vitter, I think it's Vitter or Vider, Texas. Do you know?
I don't know.
Okay, well, this comes up a lot, so we are never fucking going here, okay?
Perfect. It doesn't matter what the name is.
Piece of shit, Texas.
Hopefully we're saying it wrong.
Yeah. I didn't know, and dispatch didn't say anything to me. The receiving office looked at me and then the clock, asked me if I had hours left on my clock, and I told them I had 3 left. They were like, oh, we need to get you out of here quick. Gave me a dock right away and unloaded me the moment I bumped the dock. Came out and gave me my paperwork and explained and told me how far I needed to go to be safe.
Wow.
Which you're more familiar with trucking because you did like not dispatching.
Trucking logistics, yeah.
Thank you, logistics. But I know a decent amount of about trucking. But basically, for those that don't know, when you get to your dock to load and unload, you could sit there for hours. You don't just pull up. Like it could be hours and hours and hours. You don't just pull up and get unloaded or loaded. Like that's just not how it works. So the fact that he's like pulling up and he's probably like, okay, cool.
It's literally so common. They have an overtime pay for you called detention for being stuck at a spot.
Yeah.
Now, the fact that they're receivers typically do not care how much time you have left on the clock. They will let you run it down. And if you get stopped by the police, that's an automatic ticket. It's like nurses or flight attendants working over their allotted hours because it's just not safe to keep driving. The fact that they were like, here's how far you need to go and knew the clock. That's
terrifying. I have goosebumps. Okay. So then another commenter on that, I believe the username is Raiko, 8 days ago. And he also has an award, top 1% commenter. I just realized that. Okay. So no, but I experienced some hills have eyes shit before.
Oh.
First 6 months of trucking, I ended up on some weird 2-lane back road in West Virginia. Nothing around for hours of driving and needed to take 30 minutes to get a drink. So I found a small town gas station that had truck parking and I stopped. When I went to walk inside, there were 2 men standing on their pickup trucks. You know, when folks lean on the bed next to the back window. that were watching me very intently. When I went inside, the few people that were in there were doing the same thing. At the counter after I'd gotten my items, the cashier asked if I've ever been here before. Replied no, just stopped in for a few minutes. He nodded, said good, and to please be past the county line 50 miles to the west before sundown. I asked why, and he said the locals don't like outsiders much. I said okay and went back to the truck and locked the doors. Several more pickups with 1 or 2 men arrived within my 30-minute break, and 2 followed me until I got to the county line. Weirdest shit I've ever encountered.
The fact that you have nothing better to do with your time than to harass somebody. It's astounding.
But not even just harass somebody that just is passing through and is just not from around these parts.
Not trying to move in. Not that that would make it okay, right? Not trying, but literally just doing their damn job.
That is so fucking unsettling.
Listen, I know this is a different episode. We usually cover creepy, but this is creepy in such a...
This is so odd, so creepy.
Way.
To me, this is the most oddest thing more than we ever talk about. This is the oddity I will never understand.
Kind of like you always say, right? Like the dead don't scare me, people do. This is why. This is absolutely why.
Yes. And to be quite frank, like when we came up with our podcast concept, yes, it was more to be, paranormal and aliens and things like that. But the reason that we landed on like Oddity Shop is because oddities are so many different things to so many different people, and that we were able to cover such a broad conversation topics or whatever. Yeah. So,
and if we can shed light on these monsters that live and breathe and exist,
is scary as hell. We're not done. So there is a subreddit. We're moving on from the truckers one. It's r/blackmen. It's 6 months ago. And the user is Lynn 2031. And the subtopic or whatever is verified black man. Have you ever had an experience being caught in a sundown town? I have multiple times. It was interesting to say the least. I keep it to me though, so I don't be worried about the bullshit. I had one instance where the cops followed me throughout the whole town until I got outside the town line. I don't know if they were trying to secretly tell me it was a sundown town or not, but I already knew. And 100% ran my plates. You know how they do. Also, just recently, I walked into a bar at lunch to get something to eat. It was a pickup order. As soon as I walked in, all the white guys stared me down like I had just called everybody a crack when I walked in. It was like in the movies, how they play the DJ scratch. What did you remember? The first one I read said the exact same thing when they walked in, or one of the first ones. It was like a DJ scratch. It's crazy. I swear that it was like that. Then one of the guys proceeds to come up to me and asking me where I'm from, if I'm new around the area, etc. He had to keep it cordial, I'm sure, because it was the middle of the day. If it was after sunset, though, I'm sure it would have went a lot differently.
My blood is just boiling.
I know. So here we're going to move on from some Reddit stories because I can't take no mo. But towns with visible or like a recent reckoning. Kentucky.
Surprise.
Has some reports. I know. Reports indicate at least 60 towns in the state historically practice sundown policies. And the legacy can still affect local culture today.
Culture.
Thank you. Indiana and Illinois, these two states have the highest number of confirmed sundown towns according to the Tugaloo College database, which I do have that listed. I'm not saying anything, but I'm just saying there are certain areas. And it's like when we were just in Louisville, people said, we don't say we're from Kentucky, we're from Louisville because it's different. And then specific communities still noted in the record. So these towns may not be active sundown towns today, but, Vidor, Texas, which we talked about, known for refusing Black residents even after forced discrimination.
Desegregation.
In 1993. Wow. I'm not laughing at this, but Black families reported harassment and threats. 1993, Midden and Gardnerville, Nevada, both enforced exclusion via sundown sirens, signals that Native Americans were to leave by sunset. I cannot assure you that still happens now, but some people say sirens are still go off, but maybe they're said for different reasonings now.
Air quotes around the different reasonings.
A lot of these places, that's kind of like the thing. These practices continued symbolically until only recently, abolished in 2023.
Jesus.
So we're also not going to those places in Nevada. Harrison, Arkansas, the site of violent racial explosions in the early 1900s. Harrison is still widely associated with a legacy of white supremacist dominance and resistance to change. So we ain't going there. Jay, Florida, experienced a mass, is it exodus?
Yes.
Thank you. Of its Black population in the 1920s. As of recent censuses, it still has very few Black residents. I wonder why.
You can make all the rules around redlining and lending practices and anti-discrimination laws you want, but people are still finding creative ways to do it.
Mm-hmm. So even though, again, the Sundown signs came down decades ago, the impact is still felt. Many of those towns remain overwhelmingly white because families of color avoid them for generations, and in some cases, they still do. The reputation lingers, people talk, and if a town was unsafe once, the memory doesn't just vanish.
Mm-mm.
And economically, these places often kept wealth concentrated in white families, while people of color were locked out of property ownership and opportunities. That ripple effect shows up today in housing gaps, school funding differences, and income inequality. Socially, there's still just so much mistrust. So again, this is a very heavy episode, so I do apologize, but I hope that you did listen. And so our call to action is, obviously we can't change the past, but we can make sure that we're not repeating it. So I encourage you to learn your local history. If you live in a place that was a sundown town once, acknowledge it and teach it. Don't just ignore it or pretend that wasn't. Challenge the people around you to be better. Racism doesn't, punch in a time clock. It doesn't just punch in and out, right? So it doesn't just end at sunset, and neither should our commitment to stopping it. So these places that, want to potentially be only white communities or potential quote unquote sundown towns, it's almost stupid or crazy to say, but those are the places that we need to move into, right? Like we need to go there. We need to infiltrate so that we can make them safe for other people, because we need to be the voice in those areas. So if you do live in one of these towns that I talked about, don't take offense to that. I'm sorry, but it's facts, but you need to start changing those places. Be that voice, be that person that is the change in those places. Or if you lived in a sundown town that's not anymore, talk about it. Don't shy away from it. Like, teach people.
Can I get back up on my soapbox?
Absolutely.
At the same time you're doing this, and you might be thinking your voice isn't enough, there are 2 states on the East Coast right now that are moving to strike all of the all of the language in their covenants or in their laws that have been deemed unenforceable but were never removed, to remove them, right? So talking about where certain races can and can't live. We need to realize right now in the time and space that we live in that things that we took for granted as laws being passed that protected any sorts of people are not as solid as we thought they were, right? Write to your legislators if you know this language still exists in your area and have them make a stance to remove it. You might not feel like your voice can be heard, but we can always write to legislators. We can always be a voice online. We can always stand up for the person we see being belittled in a store or whatnot. One person might not make the systemic change, but 100 people doing things daily, whether it's changing the outlook on one person's day or actually changing a law, we have the ability to do that. And this goes past so many things going on right now, whether it's racism, women's rights, gay rights, human rights. Let's just call it what it fucking is. And don't lose the hope, because the voices of some of those who are bigoted, just calling it straight out, are louder than ours right now, and they're being amplified, but we can still create that change. Okay.
No, that was really it. And that, just kind of made me think while you're talking about that. Like, I feel like at one point in everybody's lives, we've been like picked on in some aspect or bullied, even if it was just for a small portion. So take those feelings of you being bullied or picked on. So like for me in high school, I was kind of bullied and picked on quite a bit. Take those feelings that you had and try to multiply that by 1,000,000 about people that, thinking about people that live like this on a daily basis, right? So they're bullied, they're picked on, or whatever it is, whatever you want terminology wise to use. Try to maybe understand, and you're never going to fully understand. And maybe that doesn't matter if you need to understand or not, but just think of that.
I think what you're trying to say is have empathy, put yourself in somebody else's shoes, and your experiences you can kind of at least at a baseline level understand.
Yeah, but then I was going to say we can't even say put ourselves in these people's shoes because we just don't have.
We have the privilege that we haven't had to.
Right. But you get what I mean. So let's just try to, learn, teach. I very much appreciate you if you listen to this. I tried to make it as not heavy as possible. I try to stick to just, I think you did a great job.
So here's the words I'll leave you with and our call to action on this one. Whenever you can, use your voice to lift up those who are voiceless in whatever situation they're in, because it does make a difference. Whether it's just on one individual or an entire group, we can't be silent.
Yes.
All right. I don't think it's appropriate to ask for an emoji for this episode.
No, but what I will ask for you guys for this episode, what I really, really would ask is any social media posts that we post about this, please share those.
Absolutely.
If you could share the episode, if you could share any of the social media, share the TikToks or whatever, because that's the only way we can get this out there is to talk about it. And if you guys don't feel comfortable talking about it, share our fucking voices. We will. Girl, share it.
We ain't afraid.
We ain't afraid of no ghosts. All right,
we're afraid of people. Yeah. All right.
That's my call to action is everything we said. Share everything that we posted about this. And the most important thing you could do for us is to creep it real, my little oddballs.
Goodbye.
Bye.